Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are attempting something, well, something incredibly ambitious. A comprehensive, chronological reconstruction of the ultimate destiny of creation as it's understood in Sunni Islam.
We're really diving deep into the events leading up to, during, and then immediately following the Day of Judgment, the day known as Yawm al-Qiyamah.
And this deep dive, it's so crucial because we're not talking about some, peripheral or optional bit of theology here.
Not at all. For every Muslim, belief in the Day of Judgment is the metaphysical anchor of the entire faith. It's the fifth of the 6 articles of faith, the Arkan, al-Iman. It is absolutely foundational.
So it's the definitive boundary line, the moment when the temporal world, the testing world, the dunya, it just ends.
It ends. And the eternal ultimate realm, al-Akhirah, is fully inaugurated. It's the great transition.
And crucially, it's the moment where divine justice, al-Adl, finally manifests, completely and without any mitigation.
Right. So our mission today, it's one of absolute scholarship. We are aiming to provide a rigorous roadmap, and we're relying on the consensus, the Ijma of Sunni scholarship.
And our sources are the big ones, the foundational texts.
Absolutely. The unambiguous verses of the Quran, the authentic Hadith collections, what's called the Sahih corpus, and then the giants of classical commentary. Think Al-Tabari, Ibn Kathir, Al-Ghazali.
Okay, so to even begin to appreciate the scope of this day, you have to look at how the Quran talks about it, right? Linguistically.
Yes. The sheer diversity of names used for this one event is, well, it's terrifying. They don't just call it a day. They escalate the warning from a simple event to an absolute, unavoidable cosmic terror.
Okay, let's unpack that a little. This specialized nomenclature, because it's so much more than just the Day of Judgment. These names actually give us insight into the nature of the event itself.
Exactly. Take, for instance, Al-Qarya. It's usually translated as the striking calamity.
The striking calamity.
Yeah. And this name, you find it in Surah 101. It implies a violent percussive onset. Exegetes often explain that it's the sound of the ultimate reality literally striking the hearts of creation.
So it shatters the idea of worldly stability.
It shatters the very notion of worldly stability. It is a physical event, yes, but it's also a profound psychological battering. It's not just a loud sound. It's a sound designed to paralyze you with terror.
Wow. And how does that connect to another name, Al-Haqqa?
Al-Haqqa means the inevitable reality. This term from Surah 69 just strips away all ambiguity. It's not a possibility, it's an eventuality.
An existentially binding truth.
A binding, unavoidable actuality that every single soul has to face. There's no negotiating its existence, You can only prepare for it. And then you have other names like At-Tama al-Kubra,
The Great Disaster,
and Al-Daksha, the overwhelming event.
Yeah.
They all suggest this calamity that completely envelops and submerges humanity.
And you mentioned the acoustic experience. There's another one, right? As-Saka.
As-Saka, the deafening blast. This one is referenced in Surah 80, and it refers specifically to the piercing, overwhelming sound of the trumpet.
The sound that starts it all.
It's a volume so incomprehensible that it instantly deafens your ears to all other earthly sounds. It literally marks the beginning of the end of the temporal world.
What's so fascinating, though, is that for all this granular detail about the what, there is just absolute silence on the when. Why is the timing of this colossal event? Why is it kept so secret?
That is the crucial theological point. It falls under what's called the epistemology of the unseen, or ilm al-ghaib.
Knowledge of the unseen.
Right. And Sunni theology is very clear that the knowledge of the hour's specific timing is exclusively the preserve of Allah. Surah Luqman makes this explicit. Knowledge of the hour is with him alone.
And the reasoning behind that is what?
It's fundamentally an issue of divine power and absolute sovereignty. But also, if we knew the timing, the test of faith, the whole point of acting righteously without empirical certainty, it would be completely negated.
It maintains the suspense, which therefore maintains the imperative for continuous moral striving.
Exactly. But what about the rational skeptics? The people who would ask, how can dead bones and dust be brought back to life? This defies natural law.
A very common question, even back then.
It was the primary challenge facing the early message in Mecca. And the Quranic response is consistently logical, and it's actually highly effective.
And that argument is based on 2 concepts of God's power, right?
Yes. Al-Mubdi, the initiator, and Al-Mu'id, the repeater. The logic is simple but profound. He who initiated creation from absolutely nothing.
Forming man from a clot of blood and dust.
That being, Al-Mubi is undeniably capable of repeating it. The capacity to create the first time logically proves the capacity to recreate the second time. It's a very powerful rebuttal.
Okay, that sets our metaphysical anchor and really prepares us for the sheer scale of this reckoning. The timing is a secret, but the signs are not.
The signs are not.
So let's move into phase 1, the portents of the hour, Ashrat al-Sa'a. These are the visible, often miraculous signs that signal the end of the temporal testing period is upon us.
And we're focusing here on the major signs, Al-Ayat al-Kubra. The authentic traditions, they really emphasize that once these signs begin, they occur in rapid, unstoppable succession.
The prophet described it as being like beads falling from a broken string, right?
Exactly, one right after another. They represent the literal breaking of the laws of nature, shifting humanity from an era where faith is an unseen choice to one where the reality of the divine promise becomes, well, it becomes empirical.
You can see it.
You can see it. And this phase introduces 4 major earth-shattering figures and events. We have to start with the Dajjal, the false messiah.
The Dajjal.
The Dajjal is, without any exaggeration, described as the supreme, the ultimate tribulation, the fitna in all of human history.
The ultimate test.
It's the ultimate test of faith in the unseen against immediate, overwhelming material power. He performs what look like miracles, he can bring rain, he appears to revive the dead, he promises worldly wealth and comfort, all of it to draw people away from the truth.
So his entire function is to present the scene, the material illusion, as the ultimate reality.
Precisely, making his appearance the most severe trial of spiritual sincerity anyone will ever face.
And his appearance, it immediately necessitates a response from the unseen realm, which links directly to the descent of Isa ibn Maryam, Jesus.
Precisely. The texts say Isa, Jesus, will descend, landing near a white minaret in Damascus. And this is a hugely anticipated theological event.
But crucially, he doesn't come to bring a new religion.
No, not at all. He comes specifically as a just ruler, and he follows the final Sharia of Muhammad. His immediate mission upon descent is to physically destroy the Dajjal.
Proving that true spiritual power defeats all material deception.
That's the point. And following this, we have the release of this overwhelming force of chaos, Ya'juj and Ma'juj, or Gog and Magog.
Gog and Magog? I think a lot of people are familiar with that name.
Their release signifies the overwhelming of human order by just sheer, impossible numbers and a destructive, chaotic force. Tradition holds they were imprisoned by Dhul Qarnayn, the two-horned one, behind a great barrier.
And their emergence is a sign that...
What?
That civilization is broken beyond repair.
It's a sign that human civilization, even under the just rule of Isa, cannot withstand the sheer volume of this unstoppable multitude. It marks the world as definitively broken before the final reckoning can begin.
Okay, of all the signs, I want to dwell on the one that feels the most definitive, the most absolute cosmic closure, and that's the rising of the sun from the west.
That is the most profound physical law inversion described in any of the sources. I mean, think about the philosophical implication here.
Our entire life is a test of Gabe.
Belief in the unseen, yes. So when the sun visibly, definitively rises from the west, it is an empirical, undeniable observation of divine power. At that moment, faith is no longer meritorious.
Because it's transitioned from belief to forced sight.
Exactly. So the door of repentance, Bab at-Tawbah, it's slammed shut. Irrevocably, it is sealed. Once the laws of celestial mechanics are visibly inverted, repentance is null. It's over.
The opportunity for voluntary reformation is gone? That's a colossal moment in this timeline.
It is.
Let's turn to some of the other key physical signs that precede that final blow. We have the beast of the earth, the Dabat al-Ard. What is its specific function?
The beast is detailed in Surah An-Naml. It emerges, unique, unlike any known creature, and it speaks. It verbally convicts humanity of their persistent lack of faith, their spiritual blindness, despite all the signs they've already witnessed.
And it does something else too. It marks people.
Its defining action, yes, is to physically mark believers from disbelievers. It makes the spiritual division manifest on the human body itself. It acts as a sort of undeniable physical ledger of your inner reality.
Wow. We also have the smoke. Eddukan.
Yeah.
Is there a consensus on whether this is a literal cloud or something more symbolic?
There's a rich scholarly debate, and it's important to honor both views. Classical exegetes like Al-Tabari and Ibn Kathir, they analyzed verses that suggest it could be a kind of metaphysical darkness that just settles over the world.
But the text also suggests something very physical.
Very physical. The text strongly suggests a literal atmospheric phenomenon. The prophet described it as restricting respiration, acting as a severe torment for disbelievers, overwhelming them, but only causing a mild, cold-like symptom for believers.
So even the signs themselves are a form of judgment. They affect people differently.
Selective judgment, even in its physical effect, yes.
And the earth itself begins to collapse. The 3 catastrophic landslides, or kasf.
Yes, 3 major unprecedented collapses, one in the east, one in the west, and one located specifically in the Arabian Peninsula. These aren't random earthquakes. They're understood as punitive divine acts of consumption, swallowing large populations, and further signaling the dissolution of the world's structure.
And that wraps up phase 1, with the force that physically drives the remaining population toward the final arena, the Great Fire from Yemen.
This fire, originating in Aden, is described as a massive, sweeping conflagration that moves with the people. Its purpose is purely functional.
It's a herding mechanism.
It's a herding mechanism. It physically drives the entire surviving populace toward the designated place of final gathering, the mashar, which tradition identifies as the Levant or Sham. This physical driving is the immediate, non-negotiable transition to the final cosmic events.
Okay, once that fire has done its work, the world is effectively cleared for the ultimate dissolution. Which brings us directly into phase 2. The cosmic cataclysm triggered by the blowing of the trumpet as Sir.
And this is not chaos. This is a systematic, mandated dissolution of the entire universe.
Triggered by a sonic wave of unimaginable magnitude, orchestrated by a single being. The angel Israfil, the custodian of the horn. What is Israfil's state? It's often described as a state of eternal, agonizing readiness.
The authentic traditions convey this profound tension. Israfil is fixed on the throne, his eyes are fixed on the divine command, and the horn is perpetually ready at his lips. He has never relaxed since his creation.
And the Prophet Muhammad. He said something about this, didn't he?
He powerfully illustrated the immediacy of this. He said, "How can I be comfortable while the holder of the trumpet is holding it, waiting for the order to blow?" It signifies that the universe is perpetually one command away from extinction.
And that command comes in stages. This leads us to the theology behind the blows, the nafkat. We mentioned there's a 2-stage and a 3-stage view. Let's focus on the 3-stage view, since it's favored by some of the heavyweight scholars.
Absolutely. The 3-stage view, articulated very clearly by commentators like Ibn Kathir and Al-Qurtubi, provides the most comprehensive and detailed sequence. It uses different Quranic verses to justify separating the events.
So what defines that very first sound?
That is nafkat al-faza, the blow of terror. This first, indescribably loud sonic event induces pure, comprehensive panic in any sentient being still alive. It's the instant, immediate disruption of all cosmic order, a psychological shockwave.
The terror just sets the stage for the true annihilation.
Which is the second blow, nafkat asak, the blow of death. This one, based on Surah Az-Zumar, causes the total cessation of all life in the heavens and the earth. Every creature, every angel, they all fall dead.
The universe is rendered silent.
Completely silent, leaving only the ultimate reality. Allah, the ever-living, the eternal.
And the third blow, of course, reverses that silence and begins the second creation.
That is nafkat al-Qiyam, the blow of resurrection, which we'll get to in more detail. This separation of the 3 distinct sound events is where the 3-stage view finds its theological rigor.
Now let's talk about the physics of annihilation. The Quran describes this systematic reversal of the universe, and it dedicates astonishing detail to the phased dismantling of the mountains, the symbols of permanence.
And it is a complete systematic reversal of the order of creation. The mountains start as these immovable pillars, but their end state is absolute nothingness.
And it happens in 7 distinct steps.
7 terrifying steps. Step 1 is the quaking, Rashva. The earth and mountains convulse internally, beginning their unmooring.
They lose their internal anchor. They become unstable.
Then they're uprooted. Step 2 is uprooting, Hamla, and step 3 is movement, Sayer. The mountains are literally made to pass away from their locations, turning into moving bodies.
And then they lose their physical integrity entirely.
Step 4 is pulverization, Basa. They're crumbled into fine dust like sifted flour. But the truly bizarre physical transformation happens in step 5. Fluidity, in.
Fluidity.
The sources say the mountains become like wool, fluffed up. They lose all their rock density. Al-Baghowi clarifies this image. They become like colored wool blown randomly by the wind. Not just dust, but airy, weightless material.
They go from solid rock to fine dust to something airy, losing all structure.
And the final steps confirm their total elimination. Step 6 is nothingness, Saraba. The mountains literally cease to have weight or function. They become a mere mirage. You can see them, but they aren't there.
And the final conclusion, step 7.
The level plane. Concept Safa. The earth will be left perfectly smooth, perfectly flat, no elevation, no depression whatsoever.
That terrifying level plane. It ensures there is literally nowhere, no hill, no valley, no corner for any soul to hide from the judgment that is coming.
It strips away all physical sanctuary, and the heavens, they suffer an equally dramatic fate. The protective canopy that defined our world is systematically breached, rolled up, and chemically altered.
The celestial vault collapses in several actions.
Yes. We start with the splitting in Shikak, where the sky literally tears open. Then the folding. This is a crucial metaphor. The heavens are rolled up like a scribe rolling a scroll. It's the end of the book.
The definitive conclusion of the entire historical and cosmic record.
And the sensory description of the color change is deeply unsettling. Surah Ar-Rahman offers this vivid cosmic imagery, describing the sky becoming wardatan kaldihan,
Which means?
rosy like oil or hides. And this isn't a beautiful sunset. It indicates a profound chemical alteration, maybe the boiling or combustion of atmospheric components, resulting in this terrifying, lurid hue, a sight of impossible terror.
And the stars. They don't just gently fade out, which is sort of what we might scientifically expect.
No, not at all. They scatter in Tithar and lose their light in Kadarat. Kathir interprets this as the cessation of their nuclear fusion and their violent, chaotic ejection from their orbits. Cosmic order is completely inverted.
Demonstrating that every physical law is dependent on divine will.
And once that will mandates reversal, the cosmos just unravels.
And we arrive at the most profound and horrifying inversion of all.
Though,
The seas. Water, the element of life, is set on fire.
this is truly catastrophic. The texts describe the seas as Sujurat set on fire and Fujurat burst forth.
What does that even mean? Does the water itself ignite?
That's one interpretation, a hydrogen combustion of impossible scale. Another is that the barriers between freshwater and saltwater are broken, leading to a cataclysmic flood that then burns from a subterranean source. Either way, the conclusion is horrifying. The universal destroyer, fire, consumes the universal source of life, water. The entire world system is gone.
Everything has now ceased to exist except for the ultimate reality. The stage is cleared. This brings us into phase 3, resurrection and gathering. Al-Bath and Al-Hash. So how is life recreated?
The sources actually provide a kind of biological blueprint for this second creation, and it focuses on a single, indestructible seed of the human body.
And this process starts with something called the reign of life.
Yes. After the blow of death, a period of 40 days or months, it's debated, passes. A reign of life falls, often described as resembling semen in its regenerative property. This reign nourishes the one component of the body that never decomposes.
The Cossack's bone, Aji al-Danab.
The Cossacks, exactly. The prophet explained that this tiny bone acts as the seed, the remnant from which the entire body is reconstructed, using that divine reign.
So the resurrected form is identical to the one we had in our worldly life.
Identical, molecule for molecule, and that's crucial for ensuring personal accountability.
Then, upon the third blow, the Nafkat al-Qiyam, the souls from the Barzakh, the intermediary realm, are reunited with these reconstructed bodies. Let's explore the psychological shock of that moment, because the reactions are immediate and completely polarized.
The reaction is profound. Surah Yasin captures the lamentation of the disbelievers perfectly. Woe to us! Who has raised us up from our sleeping place? They thought death was the definitive end. Oblivion.
And this is the moment their denial is shattered.
Completely. In sharp contrast, the believers respond instantly, affirming the promise. This is what the most merciful promised, and the messengers told the truth.
And the physical movement of this resurrected humanity, it's described as total chaos.
Yes, in Surah Al-Qarya, it likens the emerging masses to Farish Mabthuth, scattered moths.
Scattered moths.
It's the perfect metaphor. Moths move erratically with no direction, crashing into one another. It reflects the immense density and utter confusion of billions of humans rising at once from the ground, all rushing toward the summoner, driven by an irresistible force.
And they are stripped of absolutely everything that defined them in the dunya.
Completely stripped. The prophet's wife, Aisha, asked about the state of humanity. He replied, "You will be gathered barefoot, naked, and uncircumcised."
And when she expressed concern about modesty,
He gave the ultimate statement on the severity of the day. He said, "The matter will be too serious for them to notice." This return to the primordial state Gurla signifies the stripping away of all royal status, rank, and wealth.
They are then driven to the land of gathering, al-Hashr. But this isn't the earth we know.
No, the old earth is gone. The new earth, the Ard al-Mashar, is necessary for the judgment. It's described in Sahih al-Bukhari as reddish-white, like a pure loaf of bread. And crucially, it's perfectly flat.
That Kansaf Safa we talked about. A canvas of pure visibility, nowhere to hide.
Exactly. And the physical environment of this gathering is characterized by extreme, unbearable trauma. Primarily solar trauma, al-Mokif.
The day of standing.
Yes, the sun is brought down to a distance of 1 mil. Now, while mil can mean a mile, scholars often interpret it as the closest possible distance, like the length of an eye pencil applicator. The heat is beyond any earthly imagination.
And the resulting sweat is the immediate physical manifestation of your sins, even before the scales come out.
It's the great differentiator, the instant verdict. People sweat according to their sins, some only up to their ankles, showing a minimal burden, others to their knees, others to their waist. For the most heinous sinners, the sweat bridles the mouth, Lijam. It's a spiritual chokehold.
And this standing lasts for 50,000 years.
50,000 years. It's an astonishing length of time.
But there's a mercy in that too for the faithful.
There is. The texts provide that comfort. While the duration is real for the true believer through divine mercy, this duration is mercifully shortened. It feels no longer than the time it takes to complete a single prescribed prayer.
Amidst this universal solar trauma, there is sanctuary. There are 7 specific categories of believers granted refuge under the shade of Allah's throne.
This is an incredible insight into what truly matters to the divine. It shows that relief isn't just based on the volume of your ritual acts, but on the profound quality of your character and sincere internal devotion.
And the list. It includes the just ruler, a youth devoted to worship.
A person whose heart is attached to the mosques, signifying this continuous longing for communal prayer.
What are some of the key relational and internal examples on that list?
Well, you have 2 persons who love each other purely for Allah's sake, which highlights the virtue of genuine spiritual fraternity. Then, the man who refuses sin when tempted by beauty and rank, saying only, "I fear Allah."
Emphasizing internal vigilance.
Right. And then, the person who gives charity so secretly.
His left hand doesn't know what his right hand gave.
Exactly. Stressing total sincerity, the rejection of public performance. And finally, the person who remembers Allah in seclusion and weeps. This underscores the value of intimate, private contemplation, the merit of an internal sincerity that is invisible to the world.
Finally, before the judgment can start, there's this stark visual bifurcation of humanity's faces. The contrast must be total.
It is absolute. The righteous have radiant, bright, laughing, rejoicing faces. They glow with the light of their deeds. In direct opposition, the disbelievers' faces are covered in dust, gabara, and darkness, katara.
And there's another detail, their eyes.
Surah Taha specifies the criminals will be gathered zirka blue or blear-eyed, a sign of extreme terror, thirst, and spiritual blindness.
The standing is unbearable. Humanity needs action, which finally pushes us into phase 4, intercession, reckoning, and the scales. It has to begin with the great intercession, Ash-Shafa al-Kubra.
This sequence is crucial because it establishes the precedence and unique honor of Prophet Muhammad. Humanity, unable to bear the suffering of the standing, seeks someone to intercede, to beg Allah just to start the judgment process.
And they go through this painful sequence of refusals, visiting the great prophets. Why does the Hadith list their failings during this search?
That's a profound theological insight. They go to Adam, who refuses, citing his original sin. Then to Nuh, citing his prayer against his people, Ibrahim, Musa, Isa. They all refuse, citing what they perceive as a minor failing.
So it highlights the sheer terror of divine majesty. Even the greatest prophets are too focused on their own accountability to risk interceding for others.
Precisely. No one can stand confidently before God to ask for a favor until they come to Prophet Muhammad. When humanity finally reaches him, he declares, Anadaha, I am for it.
And he prostrates under the throne. This is the praise station, Maqul Maqlu.
It's the fulfillment of the promise in Surah Al-Isra. Allah accepts his intercession to lift the suffering and commands the judgment to finally begin. This is the moment the angels descend in rows, as Surah Al-Fajr describes.
The judgment begins with the reckoning, Ahisab, and every human stands utterly alone.
And the accounting is twofold. It goes from general disclosure to a specific audit. First, there's the presentation, al-Ard. This is the displaying of all deeds, where not a secret of yours will be hidden. The shocking moment of full disclosure.
But the second part, the detailed audit, that's where the real danger lies.
That's the discussion, or munaqasha. The Prophet explicitly warned whoever is questioned regarding his account will be punished. This detailed, rigorous audit is for those whose sins must be intensely investigated.
In contrast to the easy reckoning.
Right. The hisab yasir for the righteous. This is a mere acknowledgement of sins by Allah, where Allah shows the believer their sins privately and then grants immediate, merciful forgiveness without any interrogation.
After the accounting, the books of deeds are distributed. The flying scrolls, Tadajur al-Suhuf. This is the ultimate, immediate declaration of your fate.
It's the point of no return. The righteous receive their book in their right hand, signifying honor and success, and they rejoice, shouting, "Read my book! I knew I would meet my account."
And the wretched.
The wretched receive their book in the left hand or symbolically from behind their back, an action that requires a dislocated arm, illustrating their shame and pain. They just cry out for destruction.
And here, denial is impossible. The accused is surrounded by witnesses that cannot be bought or silenced.
Absolutely impossible. The prophets witness that they delivered the message, and the earth itself witnesses. Surah Al-Zalzala says explicitly, "That day it will report its news. The ground you stood on, the air you breathed, they all testify."
But the most shocking witnesses are the sinner's own bodies.
This is perhaps the ultimate psychological barrier. Surah Yasin describes the sealing of the mouths. The hands begin to speak, and the feet testify about the actions they performed and the places they walked to fulfill their sins. You are betrayed by your own physical form.
The centerpiece of this divine justice, where all these facts are finally synthesized and quantified, is the scales, al-Mizan. And this isn't just a metaphor.
No, Sunni scholarship insists it is a literal, physical demonstration of absolute justice, the final confirmation that no soul will be treated unjustly at all.
Since the scales are physical, there's been discussion on what exactly is weighed.
Yes, and there are three main interpretations. The first view is that the deeds themselves are manifested physically given weight and substance, and then weighed.
Okay, what's the second?
The second, more legalistic view is that the scrolls, the physical records of the deeds, are what's weighed. A heavy scroll means many sins or a large volume of good deeds.
And the third interpretation changes the scope entirely. It makes the weight turn into the individual.
Yes. The third view, supported by a hadith in Sahih Muslim, is that the person themselves is weighed. The hadith mentions a large, fat man who will be brought forward, but because he has no sincere faith, he won't even weigh the wing of a mosquito.
So the weight on the mizan is ultimately spiritual and internal. The weight of Iman, faith.
Exactly. And this spiritual weight brings us to the profound concept of tawheed, sincere monotheism, and the hadith of the card, the bataka. This story puts it all into a concrete, powerful example.
This one is amazing.
This narration, found in Tirmidhi, is pivotal. A man is brought forward with 99 scrolls of sins, each one stretching as far as the eye can see. They're all placed on one side of the scale.
And on the other side.
A single card, the bataka, containing the foundational testimony, the shahada la ilaha illallah, there is no God but Allah. That single card outweighs all 99 scrolls.
An overwhelming demonstration of spiritual gravity. The intrinsic weight of sincere monotheism surpasses any quantity of physical sin.
It proves that the essence of faith, the core belief, is the heaviest currency. But, and this is the critical counterpoint, the sobering balance to that hope, there is the hadith of the bankrupt, the muflis.
This figure is essential for understanding justice regarding the rights of others.
This is where even mountains of good deeds can be rendered completely valueless.
So describe this person, the muflis.
The Prophet described him in Sahih Muslim as a person who arrives with mountains of religious devotion, prayer, fasting, abundant charity. But he also insulted this person, beat that person, stole from another, and spread slander about a fourth. His religious devotion is vast, but his interpersonal justice is bankrupt.
When he stands before the scales, what happens? What's the sequence?
His good deeds are immediately transferred, one by one, to his victims as compensation for the wrongs he did to them in the dunya.
And if his good deeds run out?
If his good deeds are completely exhausted, but claims still remain unsettled, the victim's sins are then cast upon him. He is weighed down by the sins of others, and despite a life of devotion, he's thrown into the fire.
That is an incredibly powerful concept. It elevates the rights of man, huquaq al-ibad, to the same level as the rights of God.
It is total, holistic accountability. And after the Mizan determines this ultimate balance, the final separation occurs in phase 5, the final passage. This involves two major stations the survivors must face: the cistern and the bridge.
Let's start with the cistern, al-Had. This is a station of relief and recognition for the Prophet's followers.
It is pure mercy, strategically placed after the chaos of the reckoning but before the final trial. The cistern is for the Ummah of Muhammad. Its water, supplied by the river Al-Kathir in paradise, is described as whiter than milk, sweeter than honey, cooler than snow.
And whoever drinks from it never thirsts again.
Never again. It's a moment of profound physical and spiritual revitalization.
But tell us about the repelled ones. Not everyone who claimed to follow the Prophet is allowed to drink.
This is a severe warning. While the Prophet pleads, my ummah, as these individuals approach, angels drive specific groups away. The angels respond to the Prophet, you do not know what they innovated after you.
So this refers to apostates.
Apostates, yes, but also, crucially, those who introduce deviant innovations, bid'ah, into the religion, essentially corrupting the pristine path they claim to follow. They are driven away for fundamentally changing the message.
The ultimate, terrifying separation then occurs at the bridge, as-Sirat. This bridge is traversed over the belly of hell, Jahannam.
The scene is terrifying. The gathering is plunged into total darkness. You have to rely entirely on the light of your deeds. That light is distributed, running before the believers and on their right side. Your spiritual capital literally becomes your navigational tool.
And the hypocrite's light is extinguished at a critical moment.
Their temporary borrowed light fails them. They cry out to the believers, wait for us! But they're separated by a high wall. Mercy and light on the inside for believers. Torment and darkness on the outside for those whose faith was just an outward show.
Let's focus on the mechanics of crossing. The physical descriptions of the Sirat are designed to maximize terror.
It is famously described in authentic hadith as thinner than a hair and sharper than a sword. It's not a gentle walkway. It's equipped with hooks, kalal, and thorns, sadan, designed to seize those who slip and drag them into the fire beneath.
And the speed of your crossing determines your survival.
The speed is proportional to the strength of your light, your deeds. The fastest cross like the blink of an eye or lightning. Others like the wind or swift horses or running men. The slowest are those who crawl or drag themselves or, tragically, fall prey to the hooks and plunge into the fire.
We should clarify the theological interpretation of Surah Maryam, which says, there is not one of you but will pass over it. Does that mean everyone, even the righteous, enters hell for a moment?
The Sunni Tafseer clarifies that ambiguity. It means all humanity must pass over the vicinity of hell or over the bridge situated directly above its raging heat. The righteous pass quickly, saved from the fire. The wrongdoers fall in, fulfilling the necessity that all must face this final reality, but only the wrongdoers are consumed by it.
The journey isn't over, even for those who survive the Sirat. There is a final small bridge of purification, the Kantara.
This station is incredibly important. The Kantara is a small bridge where the survivors halt just before entering paradise. It's necessary for final, absolute purification. And here, they enact the final retaliation, kisos.
So believers settle scores for minor grievances from the world.
Minor grievances, yes, that didn't merit hellfire. This final kisos ensures they enter paradise with hearts free of all rancor, jealousy, and resentment, as promised in Surah Al-Hijr. Perfection and complete spiritual peace are non-negotiable requirements for paradise.
This phase also contains the final, colossal acts of mercy for those who did fall into the fire.
This is the intercession for hell's inhabitants who had minimal faith. Prophets, angels, and eventually the believers who cross the Sirat will intercede for those with even a mustard seed of faith.
And Allah eventually brings these individuals out.
Yes. They are charred by the fire, but they're bathed in the river of life, which restores them completely, and they then enter paradise.
That concludes the chronological journey, from the initial portents to entry into the eternal realm. We move to the outro, eternity and finality. The fates are sealed forever.
The narrative concludes with the definitive silencing of hell and the welcoming of paradise. Hell, personified, keeps asking, are there more to fill me? Until Allah places his foot over it, silencing it and filling it forever.
And in paradise,
the believers enter, where angels greet them with eternal peace. Peace be upon you.
The ultimate physical moment of finality involves the permanent destruction of death itself.
Death, in a final theatrical flourish, is brought forth as a ram and slaughtered between paradise and hell. This is followed by the final, absolute, and most consequential announcement ever made.
O people of paradise, eternity and no death. O people of hell, eternity and no death.
And that locks the inhabitants into their final, eternal destinies, bringing the entire cosmic reckoning to a definitive close. It fulfills the divine truth, al-Haqqa.
It's the ultimate manifestation of absolute justice. It confirms that creation had a profound purpose, a test, and a final, permanent result that ends all doubt.
It validates the entire span of human history and striving.
And as we conclude this deep dive, we want to bring it back to you, the listener, and the implications for your temporal life. We explored the concept of the muflis, the bankrupt person, earlier.
That figure who performed mountains of ritual acts but was bankrupt due to interpersonal injustice? This figure really, it encapsulates the critical lesson embedded within the mechanism of al-Mizan, the scales.
The profound implication is this. Religious devotion, no matter how vast, even the symbolic weight of 99 scrolls of pure worship, is ultimately outweighed, canceled, and transferred to others if it is not grounded in the fundamental command to respect the rights and dignity of others.
And that lesson, drawn from the rigor of eschatology, is the most enduring and applicable takeaway we carry into our dunya lives. Your success in prayer is secondary to your success in your relationships.
The scales will balance the spiritual with the interpersonal.
And that, fundamentally, is where ultimate success or ultimate bankruptcy is decided. Pay your debts, watch your tongue, and protect the honor of your neighbor.
A heavy thought to end on, but one that is absolutely essential for understanding the ultimate destiny. Thank you for joining us for this chronological reconstruction of the cosmic reckoning.
Until the next deep dive.